conclude every session with one sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So last week we concluded with the sunnahs of waking up, which inshallah we all practice this week. If we did not, a brief reminder. When a person wakes up, you first recite the prophetic dua. Alhamdulillahi alladhi ahyana ba'dama amatana wa ilayhi nushur. Last week we covered maybe 10 to 15 minutes on the importance of this dua. Why the Prophet ﷺ would read this. Go look at the recording if you forgot. Very, very important. What's the blessing of reading this dua? And when the Prophet ﷺ would get up, he would first sit up in his bed and he would rub his eyes to kind of brush away the sleepiness from his eyes, from his blessed eyes, alayhi salatu wasalam. Once a person does these two things, the next sunnah that a person should do is utilize the miswak. So if you don't have a miswak, this is what you have to do this week. Get a miswak and put it at your bedside. So that once you wake up, the first thing you will do, sit up, rub your eyes, read the prophetic dua, get your miswak and clean your teeth. There's two separate sunnahs. One is using the miswak when you make wudu. That's one sunnah. But a separate sunnah is using the miswak as soon as you wake up. So it's two separate things. As soon as you wake up, use the miswak. Then you go to the bathroom and you're gonna make wudu. Then you use the miswak a second time. And inshallah this will be a revival of two sunnahs, which are two distinct separate ones. Right? So we have to make sure, keep that miswak which is there on the bedside inshallah. And remember the benefits of using the miswak. مَرْضَاتٌ لِلرَّبِّ مَطْهَرَةٌ لِلْفَمِّ وَمَرْضَاتٌ لِلرَّبِّ. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the miswak is what? It is a purification for the mouth, and it's also a means of pleasure for the Lord. So there's benefit for us, and it's also a pleasure to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala that we're using the miswak to clean ourselves. Miswak is something very, very powerful, brothers and sisters. Miswak is very, very powerful. Many of the ulama, they have written in their books, our classical ulama, hundreds of benefits, both physical and spiritual, in using the miswak. You don't even know what's happening behind the scenes, what a miswak is doing for you. You have no clue and no idea, but the benefits are getting there. So much so, even to the extent physically, it strengthens your gums, it even improves your eyesight. From amongst the many benefits. And you know, I don't like to mention all the scientific stuff, because what tends to happen? Oh, my eyesight gets strong, okay, let me start using the miswak now. Oh, my gums will get strong, okay, let me start using the miswak now. What, is it not enough to start using the miswak to know that it's sunnah? Just know that the Prophet ﷺ did it, that should be enough motivation for us to do it. Irrespective, did it improve your eyesight? Does it improve your gums? All of this, even if it did nothing for you. The fact that my Prophet ﷺ did it, that should be enough to make us love it and want to do it. But on top of that, miswak has so many benefits. And from amongst the greatest of benefits, my dear brothers and sisters, the ulama say, the greatest benefit of using the miswak, because there's a spiritual benefit. It's a sunnah of the Prophet. The miswak has a relationship with the Prophet ﷺ. You are becoming accustomed and attributed to prophetic practice when miswak becomes part of your life. So like your tongue and the words that come out of your mouth, it becomes influenced now. Because what? The miswak is regular part of your mouth. If cigarettes is regular part of your lips, what kind of words are going to come from your lips? What the cigarette brothers say, right? What the cigarette people talk, you're going to have cigarette talk coming out of your mouth. But if you have miswak mouth, miswak lips, those people that use miswak, the Prophet ﷺ, Sahaba Kiram, these great people, your mouth will, inshallah, have these types of good things coming out from it. So the greatest of benefits of the miswak, the ulama write, that inshallah a person will get tawfiq to recite their kalima at the time of death. Allahu Akbar. A person who's accustomed to the miswak, your mouth is accustomed to sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Allah will give that mouth tawfiq to do what? To recite your shahada on your deathbed. Allah, is this not enough to make us start using the miswak? Tomorrow is Yawm al-Jumu'ah. It's the day, special day of miswak. We use it every day, but Yawm al-Jumu'ah is a special day. Let's get our miswaks, inshallah, right away from tomorrow. And another hikmah which ulama have written, that just like how miswak, one of the secrets and benefits of the miswak is to get tawfiq of reading your kalima at the time of death. One of the things that does salb of this, one of the things that takes away the tawfiq of kalima at the time of death, is usage of intoxicants, drugs, these types of things. Ulama have written intoxicants, alcohol, these kinds of things. From amongst the tragedies that it has in this dunya, the greatest of tragedies is that it makes a person negligent of remembering their kalima at the time of death. Last but not least, I'll end with this last point. Remember last week, it was 10 o'clock. I said, sorry, it's 10 o'clock, it's getting late. Then I said, no, it's not that late. Right now it's 9:40, you guys got an extra 20 minutes early. So don't think it's late. We still got a long night, inshallah. The Prophet ﷺ, from amongst the last things that he did in this dunya. Imagine, as the Prophet ﷺ was leaving this world, when you're leaving this dunya, the last thing that you want to do is very important to you. It's something very beloved to your heart. Right? I'm leaving this world. Call my son, I got something to tell him. Call my wife, I have something to say to her. Here's my will, make sure you take care of this last thing. Right? That's very important to you, the last thing that you're going to do before you pass away. Do you know what the Prophet ﷺ did, the last thing that he passed away and he left this temporary dunya? He called Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha and he said, get me the miswak. Imagine. Before meeting Allah, before going to Ar-Rafiq al-A'la, before finally meeting Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, the last thing that the Prophet ﷺ did, of course, reading his kalima and shahada, using the miswak. He had Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha soften the miswak, make the miswak softened, and she put it in the mouth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should make this a habit, dear brothers and sisters. For our children, inshallah, get them a miswak. Get them used to a little bit of black seed. Al-Habbatu Sawda, the black seed, which the Prophet ﷺ said, it's a cure for everything except death. Of course, I'm not saying now, sometimes our brothers and sisters from back home, you hear the sunnah du'as and all these kinds of things, and then subhanallah, like the kid is like overdosed with black seed oil and honey, and the surma in the eyes is like, 3 pounds of surma in the right eye, 3 pounds of surma in the left eye. Nobody said you have to take it to that extent. But wallahi, for the shifa of our kids, these are prophetic remedies that we have to inculcate in their lives. There's a barakah and there's a blessing. If your child uses miswak, well, that saliva, that juice that comes from the miswak, it's going to nurture their system, it's going to nurture their brain, it's going to nurture their words, it's going to nurture their system in the prophetic way. Get the household, everybody accustomed to using prophetic things. Inshallah, we're going to try this. So, from the beginning, the sunnahs of waking up, inshallah, read the dua, or rub your eyes, sit up, and then inshallah use the miswak. This is our lesson for next week, inshallah. And those who have not done so, the lineage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. MashaAllah, last week we had one brave brother who had took this step to do it. Inshallah, we will continue. All of us also make himmah. May Allah give us tawfiq. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.